Hey guys! So, on a very snowy February day last semester, I decided to view my admissions file because I was just really curious. Most of it was about what I was expecting because they don't write a whole bunch about every file, but there were a few things that surprised me in my application, so stay tuned for that. First, I want to thank Prep Scholar for sponsoring this video. Prep Scholar is the company that I used to prepare for the SAT, and they were one of the reasons I was able to score a 1600. A lot of the tips that I share on this channel now, especially for the reading section, are directly from their online program. If you're looking for a paid tutoring service or something more than Khan Academy and the official College Board content to help you prepare for your SAT, I can't recommend them enough, since in my opinion they do the best job out of any test company of emulating actual SAT questions, so you won't study anything you won't actually need for the test. If you click on the link in the description below and end up purchasing their tutoring service, I'll get a small commission from that, which helps the channel out and lets me continue making free SAT content and just college advice videos like this for you. Thanks for listening, and let's get into my admissions file. So first I'm going to explain a little bit more about the process. So at the University of Michigan, where I go to school, you're allowed to schedule an appointment to view your admissions file, and you can take handwritten notes during your appointment, but you can't take in any electronic devices. So I took some handwritten notes and I've kind of compiled them back to how they were originally in the file, and I'll just be showing that throughout the video. But yeah, you can basically see everything the admissions officer said about you. The only thing you can't see is things related to your letters of recommendations, if you signed away your FERPA rights during the Common App process, which most people do, and I think that's probably the best thing to do, so they know you didn't collaborate with your teachers to write your letters, and it just makes the process more honest, I think. But it kind of sucks that we can't see what our teachers said about us if we sign those away. U of M is actually pretty open about their admissions process. Basically, the current system is they rate all freshmen on a scale of 1 to 15, with 1 being like the best candidate for the school and 15 being the worst. Your application will get reviewed by 2 different people, and the person in the more senior position will review it last and have kind of the final say in your ranking. And then their notes and then the rankings, I think, go to like a committee where they decide your final admissions verdict. So yeah, we're kind of boiled down just to numbers. You know how it goes. So once I emailed and asked about viewing my file, I actually had to schedule it a couple months out because there were no appointments available. But the day eventually came, and I ended up going to the student activities building on campus and waiting around with a couple other students doing the same thing. And we were all talking about how we saw people on YouTube and TikTok doing it, and we wanted to also. When one of the admissions people came to get us and check us all in, she actually recognized the name of one of the girls in line. She said, like, I remember you had emailed the admissions email with a lot of questions last year. So when they say admissions officers are real people too and demonstrated interest matters, like, they're not lying. It was kind of surreal to finally realize that the people who review your files are just people themselves. And it just goes to show how random everything can be. Someone might get in over another person just because an admissions officer recognized their name. And U of M does consider demonstrated interest. I know a lot of universities don't, but let's be real, there can still be biases at play even if a school says they do or don't care about certain factors, especially if admission is holistic. So we all got checked in, got a quick rundown of the process, and then we got 45 minutes to take as many notes as we wanted on our files. I just remember being super giddy and excited to like finally see what admissions officers said or what they highlighted on my application, but spoiler alert, it was pretty anticlimactic. They really can't write that much about any one application because they just have a lot of applications to get through. Michigan also has a lot of abbreviations, and they had to explain a lot of them to us as we were reviewing our files and getting confused, but the main one is they rate you in all these different categories using the terms below average, good, very good, excellent, and outstanding in that order. So my first reviewer reviewed my application on November 9th and noted my GPA, test score, highest math sub-score of the SAT, additional test scores, basically just the SAT subject tests I took before those became not a thing anymore, and they just stated that my school does not report class rank. There's also a message that says flag math deficiency, but it's followed by a note saying AP BC Calc in 11th, 3 years of math, don't see a math in 12th, but likely exhausted curriculum. So my senior year, I took AP Computer Science A because my school counted that as a math credit, and I'd pretty much exhausted the curriculum besides that, but I guess U of M had different requirements for what they consider math credits. She also noted that I had 19 core academics, 6 honors, 11 AP/IB classes, and 0 college classes. My overall educational environment was excellent, and my overall curriculum, academics, involvement, interest, and essays were all outstanding. My letters of rec were also rated on that scale, but that's all been redacted from my file since I signed away my FERPA rights. The final comments say this is an academically outstanding student with strong rigor and creatively written, thoughtful essays, who's placed first nationally in Science Olympiad. Student has also attended 4 programs at UMich, and she gave me a 1 out of 15 as my overall number. So the second evaluator reviewed my application on November 21st, a couple weeks later. She noted the same GPA, test score, and highest math score, but left out APs and subject tests, which I found interesting. This one also says clear math deficiency, and yes, my heart did sink a little when I read that both the reviewers said that, but this one also has a deficiency notes section saying no math in 12th, but student has exhausted math curriculum. This reviewer rated me outstanding in the curriculum, academics, involvement, essays, and interest categories, and again, something unknown for my letters of rec. Her final comments were clearly outstanding academically with 10 AP, maxed out math curriculum at high school with a 5 on BC Calc. Something redacted about my rec letters shows strong school leadership along with national awards in Science Olympiad, clear College of Engineering interest, overall outstanding student. And she also rated me a 1. And I'm pretty sure the part about my rec letter that got redacted was probably talking about the letter from my AP Bio teacher, since she was my Science Olympiad coach and I worked very closely with her for the 4 years I was in high school, and she got to see me in a lot of different leadership positions. So, now let's talk about what all this means. I'm gonna give my little commentary and speculations here, but just remember that they're just commentary and speculations. This is not proven fact. So first thing, it surprised me on how they painted me in such a positive light in the final comments. And sadly, I think this is surprising to me because I was so used to bringing myself down during college admissions and focusing on my failures, which super unhealthy, by the way. It's so easy when you're caught up in that process to play the what if game, like if only I'd done this little one thing right, that would be my ticket into all the schools I want to get into. But college admissions officers aren't necessarily going to nitpick about the same thing that you're going to nitpick yourself for. The college admissions officers, they're trying their best to boost you up and advocate for you in the best way that they can. So they're going to focus on the big picture and the story you tell, the best, not the worst of the person that you present to them. Instead of saying, this student got a B in BC Calc and then must have decided math was too difficult because they didn't take any real math classes senior year of high school. Instead of saying that, they focus on the fact that I got a 5 on my AP test, and both of them independently came to the same conclusion that I just maxed out my high school curriculum. It's not like I was trying to slack off senior year or anything. Another thing that surprised me was just how much emphasis was put on demonstrated interest for U of M. This isn't the case for all schools, but I really think going to programs at the university and growing up near campus definitely boosted my application a lot more than I thought it would. The first admissions officer even made a note that I had attended 4 programs at U of M, and I don't even remember where I said that because it seemed so insignificant to me at the time. But I really think having those personal experiences with the school helped my Why Michigan essay really stand out and gave me a leg up. This is also pretty unfair if you don't live near the campuses you're interested in or don't have the opportunity to go to special camps or programs or events over your summers. Just saying. Now, regarding my math deficiency, I'm pretty sure from the language that was used for both the evaluations that this was some computer-generated flag that got assigned to my file and then had to be manually flagged or cleared, and then got a clarification added to it. But I'm just speculating here. But if that's true, that kind of scares me. What would have happened to an application that didn't get that label explained away? Or what if one of the admissions officers was in a bad mood and just saw that deficiency label, assumed the worst, and didn't even read the file? I don't think this label negatively affected my application for U of M at least, but who knows what the process is like for other schools. We've all heard the terrifying tales about the SAT cutoff where the applications below it are just thrown out, and a part of me doubts that this happens at most schools at least. But again, even when files are reviewed holistically, there's still room for bias. This is just even more reason to carefully plan out your high school schedule to try to hit all the curriculum requirements the colleges you're interested in want to see. It's worth doing the deep dive onto their admissions websites, since a lot of the time high school counselors won't know that kind of thing, and your high school or state graduation requirements might not line up with exactly what colleges are looking for. Obviously, this is not great, since a lot of high schools might not offer enough classes to cover the heavy curriculum requirements for some of these colleges. I'm looking at you, Princeton, with your 4 years of one language requirement. Sucks to be you if you have a scheduling issue one of those years, or if your school doesn't offer 4 years of a single language. This is just another thing that benefits upper and upper middle class kids who can afford to go to private schools or who go to great public schools. But, I mean, since when is that surprising? It's also kind of crazy that it's almost expected that high schoolers are taking college classes in high school at this point. Like, that's just not feasible for a lot of students, but it's framed as if we're supposed to have college classes on our application for it to be competitive. Like, we're literally high school students. I know that at my school, the typical path for kids who were a year or two ahead in the math curriculum was to start the honors track at the University of Michigan, their junior or senior year of high school, or to take math classes at our local community college. But to do that, you had to either pay out of pocket for those classes, or accept that you wouldn't be getting any college credit for the classes you decide to take and would have to retake them later on in actual college. Plus, that meant having to take 2 hours out of your high school schedule to travel onto campus and back, which is a logistical nightmare in itself. Basically, the fact that colleges now expect you to be challenging yourself academically beyond your high school curriculum is benefiting those who can afford to do that, both financially and time-wise, which also go hand in hand. And this is subtly leaving others who can't afford this at a disadvantage. On the same note, it kind of irks me that both the admissions officers included overall high school curriculum or overall educational environment in some effect. This could be really beneficial or really harmful to your average student, depending on how they're using those factors. Like, if you come from a below average educational environment, but you're still able to be excellent or outstanding in a few of the other categories, that is going to really boost your application, because they know everything is exponentially harder when you don't have access to the resources that help you succeed. But a large part of me thinks that these factors are being used to benefit already privileged kids even more than just going to an outstanding school already does. Almost 10% of students who go to Michigan are in the top 1% in terms of household income. It is a very wealthy campus, and that came as a little bit of a culture shock to me, even growing up near campus and coming from a pretty well-off family myself. Wealthier students just generally have a leg up in admissions because of so many factors, and this is unfortunately even more pronounced at the most prestigious schools. It would be nice if all the factors that we were judged for in our file were things that we were in control of, but sadly that will probably never be the case. Anyway, sorry to end the video on a slightly depressing note, but I think it's important to get my opinions about the current admissions process out there, and I just wish higher education was more accessible to anyone who wanted it. I hope this was a little insightful about how the University of Michigan will review an application you send in. Just remember to take my particular application file and all of my speculations about the process as a whole with a grain of salt, or many grains of salt, because this was technically only one file out of thousands, and we really don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you later.